surrender. Don't do anything foolish that gets anyone else hurt. Don't get yourself hurt. We are going to capture you. We are going to bring you back to the criminal justice system.
Pennsylvania State Police have a strong message for that escaped inmate, Michael Burham, who has been on the run for more than a week now. We're going to find you. And it comes as police released a new picture of one of the stockpiles that they say they believe he left in the woods in northern Pennsylvania. Food, clothes, it also contains some other equipment needed for his survival. Police think that hikers and campers in and near the Allegheny National Forest may stumble upon more of these items. The reward now for information that leads to Burham's capture is now up to $22,000. Here with us now, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent and former head of the FBI's counterintelligence behavioral analysis program. I appreciate you being here. I want to share a piece of sound from a survival expert who we talked to yesterday about the findings of some of these items in the woods. Let's take a listen.
If they found supplies for him, it tells me that he's really not that good of a survivalist. If you're really that good, you can be a shadow and vanish, and no one's going to find you because everything that you need is out there. It's the knowledge and the skill set that I'm doubting with this particular character.
So, Robin, it could be that he's not that good of a survivalist and he left this stuff behind, or could it be a decoy that he did it on purpose to throw them off the scent? How would investigators approach the significance of these findings?
I agree with the survivalist. What he most likely has, from what I've heard from his background of maybe coming up in a logging community, I think he's got a lifetime of reps of being uncomfortable. And so just because someone's claiming they're a survivalist doesn't mean they actually have the skill set of a deep survivalist, but they have a lot of skills for learning how to be uncomfortable, learning how to evade people, learning how to judge the environment for safety. And so what they're going to be looking at in this package of items that they found is they're going to be looking for, one, who provided it. I think there's an unconditionally deep relationship here that someone is aiding him that put this cash here. And that's what I'd be looking at. That's what these individuals and the researchers involved in this, the profilers and all law enforcement professionals looking at, is that totality of who is involved in this and what's this cash saying about the individual skill set. But without a doubt, he has a degree of ability to evade law enforcement, as seen twice now.
Right. And it seems very likely he's getting help, given the fact that he does have access to some provisions. He may be armed, which they think he is. So they'll start to look at jailhouse communications, right, leading up to his escape, who he was in contact with, perhaps DNA on the items that they found. What are some of the investigative tools that they'll hone in on to try to narrow down who may have helped?
Yeah, they're going to be looking at all those things you just mentioned. And I'm really still curious about the drone that they said may or may not be connected. I'm like what the sheriff had mentioned earlier. I don't believe in coincidences. Sorry for my word fumble. I don't believe in these things that potentially don't coincide because they probably are linked. And so I'm also thinking that if he has a deep relation, a deep connection with someone, there's probably a lot of unspoken things that they might have been able to talk in code about. And potentially with a drone coming in, maybe dropping instructions for a dead drop. And that's a good term of art for leaving a cache where someone else won't find it. And so I think that's potentially what's going on here, is a lot of talking in code and referencing maybe things that they've done in the past together about where to leave it. So I think that's what they're going to be looking at.
I do want to add that some of our reporting this morning, our correspondent Dreeke Clark has been on the story. He did make a connection between the drone operator that they believed was flying a drone, not connected. He said he was flying it to survey the gutters on his house hours before the escape. We're still working to get full confirmation from police on this, but he says he had nothing to do with it. We spoke to him in the driveway. Still, you have this man who likely had help, potentially on the inside, to try to make this escape. Police say he's dangerous. They believe he's armed. How does the fact that he could be armed change the approach as investigators are on the ground and in the sky looking for him?
Yeah, it changes the approach mostly from, I'd say the first standpoint you're going to change is how you're alerting the environment of the people around there, because everyone's at a threat of violence right here. Luckily, though, we have one instance where he was picked up in South Carolina where he didn't threaten the house and the individuals that were not hiding him, but where he was hiding. So hopefully he's not going to resort to violence.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.